Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be going over the few trains that I saw while I was on my trip to Tennessee. This video is not going to be too long because I didn't really see that many things, but the few things that I did see were pretty interesting. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Our first sight of trains was while we were stuck in the infamous Atlanta traffic. While we were here, we saw a train that was going over the road on a bridge. A little ways more into Atlanta and we saw this. I'm not quite sure if it was a subway or a light rail, but it was cool to see. Our next sight of a train wouldn't be until the next day, where I was trying to make my way to a crossing where I didn't really know for sure if a train was coming, but was hoping. And it turns out not one, but two came in a very surprisingly short amount of time. The crossing where I saw the second train was quite literally the crossing that the first train just crossed down the street. And while I was pretty upset at the time that I just missed two trains, I did manage to get some good photos, which in hindsight were pretty nice. Zoomed in pretty far down the tracks, you can see that the second train had stopped at a signal and was presumably waiting on the first train to gain some distance. We saw the next thing when we were on the road to the place where we would be staying for the rest of the trip. The map had recommended us a path that would save us 20 minutes because of traffic on the main highway. It had some very pretty scenery as we winded through mountain valleys and went under completely tree-covered areas. Eventually, we came upon a right-of-way that paced the road for a long ways.
Oh, wait, is that it? That's it. The tracks.
While there were no trains along this portion, it was still pretty cool to see.
Wait, is this line abandoned?
I had said that because there's a kink in the curve right there, and I was wondering if this track was no longer maintained and was just still sitting here. Eventually, we made our way back to civilization. I didn't realize this until I was just now editing it, but apparently we were in Smithville, Tennessee, I believe. I kind of want to come back here one day just to see a train run through this town, but for now we got back onto the highway. It was a nice little detour and it saved us 20 minutes too.
What is that place?
We saw this place on the side of the highway and even saw some locomotives sitting on a track.
I see locomotives.
I had later looked up that this was a limestone mine called Lhoist, North America. And I'm just now noticing that the second locomotive closer to the right is a high hood, which is pretty cool. We didn't really see any more train-related things while we were in Tennessee, but I still want to show some of the things that we did see, even if they weren't train-related. This is the driveway for the house that we were staying at. What an amazing view. Later we went into Gatlinburg, Tennessee through some of the prettiest scenery I'd ever seen, and we paced a little river for most of the way.
It's a pretty little hollow.
When we got to Gatlinburg, we walked the strip and there were quite a few things to see. I think my favorite thing though was this taffy machine. The man making taffy with it told me that it was 100 years old. Before heading home after spending a little bit more time there, me and a few of my older family members rode the Moonshine Mountain Coaster. I'm not usually a roller coaster person, but this one had individual carts that you could control the speed on, and it was fun. Then we drove home for the day in a pretty sunset. It was now 2 days later and we were on the way back home. Because of the lack of trains that we saw while we were in Tennessee, my mom said that I could pick the stops on the way home. Since we would be passing through Canton, North Carolina on the way home, I looked up railroads in the area. One of the results that pulled up was a road that I had not heard of before, the Blue Ridge Southern. It wasn't too far off the highway, so I decided that this would make a good first stop. I think this was my favorite train stop of the trip. While there was nothing moving, it was still pretty neat to see this yard with the big mountain in the background. Eventually, I found this one locomotive, Blue Ridge Southern number 3939, sitting on a side track. I took pictures and clips of cars in the yard as we were going around on a back road to get a closer look at the locomotive. There were two men working on this GP39-2. Earlier, while we were on our way to the yard, I had learned by a post that was made on this same day that the railroad was out of commission due to a hurricane for a while. There was also this neat little old fire truck. After leaving here, we moved on to our final spot for the trip. It was a repair track in a Norfolk Southern yard, which we didn't know until we got there. I didn't notice the reporting marks at the time, but there was this old Norfolk and Western hopper, which was pretty cool. The last thing that we saw on this trip was while we were leaving the yard. It was a Southern Railway bridge dated 1918. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing, and I'll see y'all next time.